What's up, guys? This is Micah coming at you now with breaking news. For those who haven't heard, Puffy has been found not guilty on 3 of the charges, guilty on 2 other charges. We're going to go to the report so you guys can hear it yourself, as well as give commentary on what I think about the case, because many of you know I've been following it and sharing my input on it. So we're going to go ahead and run the story. Hold tight. Here we go.
Let's put this in perspective now that we know where Sean Combs has been found guilty and non-guilty. Let's put it into perspective, Brian, on time he will serve. What are we looking at now with regard to years? Of course, we should point out there will be an appeal. He's got plenty of money to do that. But let's take it from where it stands right now.
Kira, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. I'm not even sure if I would say there would be an appeal, because for Sean Combs and his defense team, this is a massive win. 3 of the counts that had a life sentence.
I want to pause right here because what he just said, because some are saying like, well, how is it a win if he was found guilty? He was facing like life sentence type, like real time, like even that RICO charge. That's a very serious case. Usually when you get a RICO, you're in a lot of trouble. Fortunately for Mr. Combs, his defense attorneys were able to raise enough reasonable doubt for the jury to not convict him of these charges. I'm just reading them. I paused the screen for you guys to see. He was found not guilty on count 1, racketeering, conspiracy. That was a big one. Not guilty on count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. And count 4 was the same thing, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. So what that means is the charges that could have resulted in life behind bars have been found not guilty. I know that was a big sigh of relief for his legal team. I think it took guts for them to go ahead and rest their case without calling a single witness. That was a big roll of the dice, but they must have been very observant of how the case was going and watching the jurors and looking at the evidence. No doubt, Puffy got money, so he paid for some pretty high attorneys. I mean, that's without question. It was going to be an uphill fight. I mean, Johnny Cochran's been dead and gone for years, but if Johnny was here, he would have been trying to pull him up to cover this type of a case. But obviously the lawyers that he did have were able to fend off the more serious charges that would have been a life in prison, no doubt, for Mr. Sean Combs. However, he was found guilty on these 2 counts, transportation to engage in prostitution, transportation to engage in prostitution. These types of charges, similar to other felonies, 10 years? If you get like a simple battery, it could be a 10-year, and you can end up with probation. You can end up with, time served if you've been in there for months like Mr. Combs has, or you can end up getting a sentence, between that 10-year. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 7 years, depending on what the prosecutors ask for and what the judge allows. What will more than likely happen is he's going to get out on good behavior or something. And make no mistake about it, the money that he has definitely plays a part in this case. I mean, when you have the kind of money that you can pay for top counsel, you can get top of the line attorneys and lawyers. Yeah, you can fight uphill battles like this and come out almost completely unscathed. Obviously, there was some feeling of guilt by the jury, hearing the stories of Cassie Ventura, seeing some of the evidence that was presented. I barely could even listen to half of the stuff. It was so disturbing, but interesting enough to see that he has been found not guilty. Some people were trying to say, oh, it's going to be an acquittal. He's just going to be completely not guilty. I think that was a little bit far-fetched, probably a little dreamy for people to think that. But let's go ahead and listen to the rest of the commentation by Mr. Brian Buckmeyer. And this was from ABC News not too long ago. Here we go.
Possibility are gone. When it comes to transportation to engage in prostitution, the minimum is nothing. There's a theoretical possibility that he walks out on probation. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, but the max is 10 years. Even if you were to take both sentences, and he's not going to get 10 years, they're going to look at his criminal history, mitigating circumstances, aggravating circumstances, and I would assume that he gets somewhere in the middle ground, maybe like...
Now, I will say this, when he said to look at his history, Puffy has had some brushes with the law before. We know about, the nightclub shooting with Shine, and Shine kind of took the fall back then. There was a promoter that got jumped on by him and some of his men. That became a big issue many years ago. There's been some incidences that he's had, but again, something at this magnitude, at this level, it's one of those things where, you're not surprised that people are able to kind of get away with these kind of things. Not implying that he was guilty of everything that they accuse him of, but it's just funny how, money can really help. If he would have went in there with a public defender, which on the hood, we call them public pretenders, oh man, probably would have been found guilty on every charge. But having the right legal counsel, I cannot stress that enough. How, the right attorneys, having the kind of money, it definitely plays a part. So let me play some more of this commentary. Here we go.
3 to 5 years, 3 to 6 years, possible through that sentencing range for each count. Sean Combs going to trial where he was facing life and being able to walk out with something under 10 years, well under 10 years possibly, that is a victory. Will he appeal? Sure, that's his right to do so.
That is true. Y'all, when you're looking at life and you end up with 3-5 years. I remember I saw a guy get charged one time. This is in a court. And the guy was so happy that he had gotten manslaughter. Like he had got 2 manslaughter charges, 2 counts. And for those who don't understand what each count means is if you're not serving it consecutively, meaning at the same time, then it's separate. You might have to do 10 years for one. You might get early probation. Now you're starting 10 years for the next before they let you out. If it's consecutive, then you're doing the 10 years parallel at the same time, and the person could get out for both cases, technically, or for both counts, rather. So in a case of this, I remember the man had gotten manslaughter versus the murder one that they wanted. And the murder would have been 25 to life. So he was so happy just to get 10 years versus 25 to possibly the rest of his natural life. And I was looking at him crazy, like, how could you celebrate getting 10 years in prison? How could you be so happy to have gotten 10 years? But he was like, it's better than the 25 to life I was facing. And this was a case that it happened back in the early 2000s. And I was like, wow, just to kind of see these things is really interesting. I'm going to go ahead and play some more of this commentary. Here we go.
But I don't see an appeal here. I think you take this as a win. You serve the few years that you may get, and you be happy that you didn't get life. I'm somewhat shocked as to the trafficking for Cassie. I thought that might have been a stronger case for the government. I didn't think that they had the RICO, and I definitely didn't think they had the Jane trafficking. But this is, I think in only so many words, and I keep saying it, I think this is a positive result for Sean Combs and his team.
All right, so I'm going to pause there. Let me go ahead and flip this on back. So we got the report. We hear that he was able to beat those charges. And I mean, realistically, guys, there's a lot of YouTubers or a lot of podcasters and people that were like, hey, this is it. He's gone. Oh, he's done. Put a fork in it. He's going for life. And now we all see that that's not the case. That's why I don't like to just jump onto these cases and make predictions or assumptions. I kind of like to, you can make a prediction, but I wouldn't necessarily post it as if, oh yeah, definitely he's done. Like put a fork in it. He's not getting out, because you never know how the jury is going to decide. It's up to the 12. And they may hear or see things that we're not getting from the news reports because they didn't have cameras in there due to the nature of the case and how high up it was. So we weren't able to actually like watch it on trial like you could, like the O.J. Simpson trial or like the Johnny Depp trial or something. This is something you just had to kind of take the words of the reporters. So I would err on the side of caution to believe everybody who's quick to report, oh, he's going to be guilty, oh, he's going to get fried, because, here we see, obviously, he's beaten some of the more serious cases. The RICO is a tough one. It is very serious now. If you can get convicted of a RICO, yeah, you can pretty much be done. But the odds of actually winning a conviction of a RICO is very difficult to prove. You have to show, that this is like an organized syndicate, multiple states involved sometimes, and there's so much evidence that has to be compiled. And, kudos to both the defense and the prosecutors, because no doubt they both put their best foot forward in this case. I'm sure the prosecutor wanted stronger charges against Mr. Combs. I'm not sure if like Cassie, her husband, Kid Cuddy, and all the other people involved are going to probably try to lay low or get into some type of witness protection program. Because obviously, based off the case, you hear stories of him in retaliation. But nonetheless, the case pretty much ended with a mixed jury. On one end, he's guilty of the lesser charges, but not guilty on the more serious stuff, which means he'll probably be out. Now, what does this mean for Mr. Combs' reputation? I don't think he's ever going to be able to get that back that he had before this trial. Even with the video of the physical abuse and the beating that Cassie took, I just don't see him going back to being on the throne of hip hop, or, you know, when he was working with Revolt and the networks and those things. I think that time is gone. More than likely, he'll probably shuffle some investments around him. He's not going to go broke. No doubt he could sell a lot of things. But it just seems like a waste of a lot of money that the states used as far as, you know, going and raiding homes, taking all the baby oil and whatever else he had in the crib, all to get to this results. It's kind of like, man, what a waste, what a waste. But it is what it is. So if you guys could do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like, share, subscribe button on the channel. Make sure if you didn't subscribe that you do subscribe so you won't miss any content, as I'll be uploading more frequently. Also, let me know how you feel about the case. Do you feel like the jury got it right? Leave a comment in the description. Like, yo, I think the jury got it wrong. I think, you know, she should be you know, put in witness protection, or do you feel like maybe she should have been charged? I did see that. Some people were saying that she was an accomplice and that the state just kind of linked on her to be a witness, or else they prosecute her. Who knows? But what I will say is I would love to hear your comments and try to respond below. This is Micah from the Micah Dobbins Show, signing off.